All right. Well, it's great to have Lee and Danielle Kiedrowski here. Guys, good to see you again.
Good to see you too,
Great to see
Jim.
you.
Yeah, I mean, we met at the White Coat annual event, and right away, the conversations you had with a few of our property counselors about Stethos, and then with me, I said, I got to have you guys on because what you're doing, I mean, I've done with myself, done with, like I was saying, some of my older kids going into their first ventures, but you really have a pretty unique business to help doctors really capitalize on their hard work better and enjoy themselves more.
Yeah, that's right, Jim. We started Stethos because of the journey that Danielle and I went on. Right out of residency, we I joined on with a hospital system and did the W-2 contract, and honestly, because that was the only opportunity, I didn't know any different. And Danielle did the same thing with her CRNA degree. We both signed on to the same hospital system, and we're having a good time serving our small North Dakota community and my hometown where I grew up. It was great. And then just over time, we kind of just didn't see the benefits of working for a large corporation, and through a series of circumstances, we found out about locum companies and then being a 1099 with the locum companies. And Danielle was the first one to jump ship, and it's been nothing but an awesome experience since then.
Good. Well, and I want to get into that, but let's also kind of show the whole picture. Not
Sure.
like you guys aren't busy enough, getting out of residency, having five children as well. You're just as crazy as I am because that's how many I have. But you guys have it even closer together, like we were just joking about. So you were able to do this with both of you guys coming out of residency, learning we're not holding on to enough of what's ours,
Right.
and then even with five kids, doing this for yourself and now helping other people to do that.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just love that. And I say that because I encourage people to, when they say, I'm too busy, it's just going to be too confusing. You guys
Mhm.
have kind of done the blood, sweat, and tears. And now even with your own big load at home, you're doing it for others. So I want to get into that of why people go, oh yeah, is it really that big of a difference, Lee or Danielle, to go from being a W-2 to a 1099?
Yeah, I would say right off the surface, you're talking about tax codes with W-2 and 1099. So there's a certain uh, amount of money that you can deduct and save with a 1099 that's very attractive. And it always depends on how much you're making. It always depends on how much you can deduct and what you're doing with that business that you would eventually create your own LLC. Um, but the other big benefit that we found only after going through all this is the lifestyle that you find yourself in. And in the current place that Danielle and I work, we were told by the CEO that the hospital can bring any doctor or CRNA or professional in with money, but they'll stay for the culture.
Mhm.
And
Mm.
that's what we've found is the secondary and the better benefit of going 1099 is that lifestyle.
Mhm.
So you want to give me an example, guys, of lifestyle that
Yeah.
that you've seen from W-2 to, following your own Stethis system?
Yeah, so you have the control. That's the biggest difference is you're able to
Mm.
go in and you negotiate your own contract.
Wow.
And you're working on your terms, which is such a beautiful thing. For instance, with me, I'm able to negotiate and work half time and be able to be an all-star CRNA when I'm working and be an all-star mom when I get to be home. So more time at home, but bringing in more cash, which is extremely exciting, obviously.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
And have you found the same thing, Lee? You're able to have more time at home, more time for hobbies. Has
Yeah.
that has that
Oh,
been
yeah, that's exactly right. And that's what I would sell this model to other physicians is to say, hey, look, you can keep more of your hard-earned money and or just make the same amount, but guess what? You work less and you get to spend more time at home. And a little plug, Jim, if you don't mind,
sure?
rural America is dying for doctors. We need more doctors. So if there's a doctor in Miami who is making X, if you worked in a rural community, maybe part-time, you could make the same amount or more.
Wow.
and serving
Isn't
people who need it.
that's fascinating? I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah. So when I mentioned earlier that, our eyes were open to the 1099 world through a locum company, and so that's travel doctors, travel nurses, who sign on to a company that provides the logistical support for these small hospitals. But the inherent problem with that solution is you bring people in for a premium because they got to travel, but then those locum companies also take up to 30 to 50% of the doctor's salary
Oh, wow.
for providing the service. So even
Wow.
if that same doctor went to that same hospital and said, "Hey, I'll do the same service, but you pay me 29% more," the hospital will still save money on that deal.
Holy cow. Very interesting. And my when I was taught to always, instead of go W-2 and go to 1099, and I'm sure this is the same thing that you guys teach. What I was taught is you make your, as W-2, you make your money, you get taxed, and then
Mhm.
you can spend what's left over.
Right.
Now with 1099, you make your money, you spend a lot of it, which can be written off, and then you're taxed on what just remains.
Yes. Yes.
That one thing alone allowed me to have 5 kids, I think.
Yeah,
It's a huge
certainly.
mindset shift.
Yeah, one
Yeah.
hundred percent, 100%, and that's a great point, Danielle, because as a 1099 independent contractor, your thought process changes. Your core thought processes change about money and where it comes from and where it goes and what you're getting taxed on and what you can write off. It's crazy. It really seems to be never ending where we could save money or where we can save on taxes or where we can put our money in to make it grow tax deferred. It's incredible. One big benefit, again, going 1099 independent contractor, is you get to put your money into a solo 401k rather than a 401k. So as a W-2, you get to save in a 401k. So in 2025, you can save up to $23,500 of your own pre-tax money, put it into your own 401k at your business. The employer usually matches the first 4 to 6% of that. So at most, you can probably save up to $35,000 pre-tax into a 401k. But again, as a 1099 independent contractor, you get access to a solo 401k. And as your own business, you are the employee and the employer.
Mhm.
So you pay yourself the
Yeah.
$23,500 into your solo 401k. And then as the employee, or excuse me, the employer, you match that to the full amount allowed by the IRS, and that's $70,000. So again,
Wow.
as a W-2 employee, you can save up to 35,000, but as a 1099 independent contractor, you can double that.
Mhm.
Pre-tax, tax deferred growth year on year on year.
Incredible. And to some people just starting out or even just been in a more traditional approach, my experience with the solo 401k is it opens up more options of what you're actually allowed to invest into. I found, in the more traditional, you kind of, your hands are tied, especially I'm a real estate guy. So the solo just opened up so many more things that were allowable, or potential. And I really like that.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, we've found that, there's opportunities to use your solo 401k money to invest into real estate
Mhm.
Yeah.
versus your 401k at your employer, as your W-2 job. You are kind of just, limited to a very few investment options.
Yeah, yeah, and that I don't feel good about that because I think, especially like where we met, White Coat has done a great job of seeing what are, the possibilities out there.
Right.
And then if
Yep.
you can't even get to them, you almost feel cheated.
Hmm.
And I know we talked about this at the event. For me, coming from the entrepreneurial world, it was more known. And doctors have done such incredible training and
Hmm.
schooling and residency, but this is something that's really left out. And it's
Mhm.
so, since it's not on the plate, I think a lot of my doctor friends that I've worked with in real estate investing or these types of strategies, they almost believe, well, we didn't know about it and we've been really well trained, and you guys are the top at educating, I believe, and but they almost feel like there's a catch. That's why I think more people don't look. Would you say that's kind of, they're like, well, what's the catch? No, there has to
Sure.
be something to this.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. And my thoughts on that, just going through the farm at medical school and residency and just getting out and learning how medicine actually operates. I would say this, Jim, that From kindergarten through your last day at residency, you always trust the person that's standing in front of you, your teacher. Your kindergartner teacher says, yeah, 1 + 1 is 2. Why? Well, it's just because of the way it is. Your residency director says, well, you give this antibiotic. Why? Well, here's this, and this reason, but just kind of trust me. I know what I'm talking about. And again, you always have these mutual agreements, these unwritten mutual agreements that as a student, I want to be the best student I can be so that I can continue to grow and to get better jobs. And the professors, teachers, residency directors, they want to create good students so that they can create a program that attracts the best students. And also, we want to save the patient's life. So we always have these mutual, understood goals. But once you get out of residency and you sit at that table across from the CEO of a hospital, your goals are not the same. And I'm not calling anybody evil or immoral or wrong. It's just the way it is. The CEO is responsible for the hospital's finances and to stay afloat. And if they're talking to a new doctor who really doesn't know what they're talking about and can save $50,000 when he would or she would really be willing to give that extra salary if the new graduate would just ask for it. But we don't know because when they say, oh, that's the best I can do, well, why would they lie?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to give you everything I got. I'm going to give you my bleeding heart. I'm going to do everything I can for your patients. I'm going to change the world. And I'm going to expect you to give me the best opportunity to do that and compensate me for it. And when you say that's the best you can do, okay, well, fine. I agree. Yeah, it's got to be the way.
It has to be the way. Yeah. And again, we're all in business, aren't we? And so that's where it's like, I've watched too many doctor friends get taken advantage of an investment or not understanding these things. And it's just, like you said, I think this is part of business. It's a negotiation.
Yes.
And when you go better prepared, knowing what you're negotiating with, like you guys are teaching, then all's fair. And that's why I want to see more people doing it. And that's why I really wanted to get you guys just a few minutes. I think that we need to do a full webinar on this just to go a little more into the trenches. Get into the weeds a little bit more. But I think just like introducing this today was imperative because, we work with a lot of doctors, a lot of dentists, a lot of medical professionals that I think could really benefit from this. What would you guys say, just first steps, before we wrap up, what would be the first step for anyone, a doctor that's looking to do this, or what would you tell them? Because they probably feel like they're drinking out of a fire hydrant. They're nervous. What would you tell them?
Yeah. I would say first and foremost, we've been there. We know what you're feeling. If you're feeling that burnout, if you're feeling that fatigue, if you're feeling like there's got to be something better, there's got to be something more than what I have at this current job. We've been there. We can certainly listen to that. So that'd be the first thing I'd say is try to just assess where you're at. Are you happy? Do you think there's more out there? Are you looking for more out of your career? Are you looking for more out of your job? Are you looking to spend more time with your family? And if so, then you could go to Steths Stock Company and then you could sign on with us and we could have a conversation about how we could possibly help you. We've got our signature system, the Codex system, that helps you examine, explore, and then execute on your plan to jump from W-2 to 1099. And to just understand that this is going to be nebulous. This is going to be scary because that's exactly what we went through. There were multiple times where we looked out the window. We're like, are we sure about this? We're leaving our comfortable, well-paid jobs to go and to do something that is not common. It is scary. And so we've been there. And so again, as this company, we want to be able to take your hand and hold you real close to tell you, hey, it's going to be okay. You're going to be able to know how to create your personal financial statement. You're going to know how to read a balance and loss sheet. You're going to know how to set up your personal or professional LLC. We're going to have CPAs that can help you, insurance agents to help you find your health insurance, your malpractice insurance, your disability insurance. We're going to be able to help you find a banker to help you get those business loans that you need for that business car, et cetera, et cetera.
Love it. Love it. And if you need a good builder, I know one in Florida. So
we certainly do. That's right. That's right. When your spouse wants to become that real estate professional and then any losses that you have on your homes, you can deduct from your 1099 as well. We can help you.
There you go. I love it. I love it. Well, I love what you guys are doing. I think it's super important to your clients, all the people, doctors, investors that I've met with. So I'd love to continue the conversation, but I think this is a perfect intro to what you guys are doing, the possibilities, and to be putting that much more in your pocket and saving on your taxes. that could be the one move to be able to start investing more into your financial future. So my hat's off to you guys. I want to talk more about it. And, I appreciate you educating our doctor community base today as well.
Our pleasure, Jim.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for being here.
You bet.